Wi-Fi was acting up a little bit.
Yes. I can't find my damn other phone. My phone, I've been placing these winning bets on.
Got the winning numbers on it too.
I forgot to check my Mega Millions ticket. I'm like, y'all might be talking to a billionaire. I'm about to check it while we on here. If the space suddenly ends, then and my account get deleted, y'all know what's up.
Yeah, unless you're up in Maine, man, and it's unfortunately it's not you.
It was in Maine.
Yeah, that's what I think so. Yeah.
Well, maybe I got like shit. I'd be happy with like 200,000.
Yeah, definitely.
I ain't complaining. Yeah, but we got a lot of boxing to talk about. A lot of boxing news. First thing is so Haney versus Lomachenko looked like May 20th, but it looked like it'd be in the U.S.
I saw Chavez report. So Keith Heidick just wrote a story. I think it was yesterday. As far as I know, there's still it's still New York, Las Vegas, or Saudi Arabia.
I mean, with them having a pay-per-view, that wouldn't that signal that it's in the United States?
So that's what Bob told Keith, that in order for it to be ESPN pay-per-view, it would have to be the U.S. That if it went to Saudi Arabia, then it's a different equation. Like they can't put a fight like that on a daytime pay-per-view. Because even in primetime pay-per-view, I personally don't think it's going to do very well. But I understand, they're paying them so much that I get why they're going the pay-per-view route. I just, it's not my place to tell them it shouldn't be pay-per-view, but it's the world we live in. But putting that fight in the Middle East in a completely different time zone, you can't possibly sell that as a pay-per-view at that point. No, but at least then you're getting the money to fund the fight. But
yeah, that would suck.
It would. Anytime a fight, we've seen it, man. Anytime a fight takes place outside the U.S., I mean, it creates a buzz elsewhere. But for us, it just doesn't, resonate the same. And it certainly wouldn't sell well, on a Saturday afternoon. So, yeah. But I know Bill was on, I think, the Boxing Voice yesterday talking about, they wanted the fight in Vegas, and he felt like they weren't getting, that win. So now they're going to start looking at that New York. He claims to embrace it, but Loma has fought there far more often. So, but if you're going to build up some, if you're going to market Devin Haney, New York is a great place to do so.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So I do hope it stays over here, like for all the reasons we just mentioned. Again, I don't like the fact that it's pay-per-view, but it's not my choice. I'm not the one funding the fight, so yeah.
That don't bother me. I'll probably be there anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people will go to that. I do think it will. I don't know if it'll sell out. It'll do well at the gate, but it comes. There's a lot of fights that we're discussing, man. It's just like I said, we're going to be talking about a lot of pay-per-views this spring. So.
All right. Yeah. Another one. What did you hear about Cool Boy and Inouye?
I can't comment on that. All I can say is Cool Boy is not fighting Brandon Figueroa. I can tell you, without being in on the conversation, I know why Dan reported it. I can probably tell you who told him that. I personally have that person blocked from my life because he's burned me enough times, not with bad information, just from holding me back from doing my job. So. But I think Dan got burned on that story. That fight was offered. It was never finalized. It was an option for Cool Boy. I can tell you everyone is going to be very pleased with who Cool Boy is fighting next, and we will be pleased with Inouye's 122-pound debut. Beyond that, if I give it away here and I don't write about it, I will get fired. So
Dan out here with the Rick Glazer source?
What? Glaze. Yeah, I saw he's back. So I'm glad, Ray, welcome back. I had to deal with Rick yesterday. I had to put him in his place. So thank you for coming back today. Good to have you.
So if a source burns you, do you out him?
It's not that I would out. No, it depends. If I get burned enough, then, maybe I'll start talking some shit. But, I still got to be professional. But I will go. So I will say this. Someone told me it was someone within PBC University. They tried to claim that Fulton Inouye was in talks, and they were looking at April. The first question asked is, why would you have Fulton fight during Ramadan? I got the DM equivalent of a blank stare. So, some sources, I could feel like when people are trying to feed me information that they're not necessarily enlightened. And, I kind of got to put them into place and then dismiss them as a legit source. So, and this is like a very responsible story. You know, you can't just guess that they're fighting. You know, you can't guess that Inouye's going to fight. You know, this is a big deal. This is a fight where if it gets done, this is a big deal for the sport.
If it gets done, does it get done in Japan?
Yes,
or does it get done in
Japan. There is no way we will see this on a PBC platform. I honestly, the one thing I'm still trying to figure out is if Polton is still with PBC. My understanding, he works on a fight-by-fight basis. So I don't know PBC's involvement in these talks. I don't know if he's just handling it himself or if he's talking directly with Inouye's team. But if this fight gets done, it will be 100% Japan.
Ooh, I would love
to
see this fight.
Look, Fulton has I was talking to someone else, actually with YSM about this, how you look at the PBC prospects since PBC has come along. There's certain guys like they just kind of been guided to a title, and then there's certain guys that should be A side but they're not, and they've been put through the ringer. And Stephen Fulton is one of those guys who's truly earned his place at the table. He's had far tougher opposition than most other guys who had to come up the ranks. That should be like an A side priority within PBC verse. So if anyone
if you give him an A side priority, then but the fight wouldn't happen.
Right. If anyone has earned this opportunity,
it's been him. Because then you got two networks saying, "Well, we're at a standstill." You know what I'm saying? Where neither one of them want to give.
Yeah.
I cannot find this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really rooting hard for him to land this fight because he truly earns it. So I know he's been very vocal about wanting fights like this. He's putting where his money's worth. He's taking full control of his career to make sure opportunities like this come his way. So I'm rooting hard for him.
Man, I know one thing. When this fight happened, it better not be 50 different start times. So every time a fight happens in Japan, we can never get the exact start time for the goddamn fight.
Yeah.
Like, man. Okay, what else we have? Spence versus
Thurman.
Keith Thurman.
Yep.
So is that everything that reported is going to be at 154 is actually happening at 154?
So I wrote it as it's taking place above welterweight. I can't confirm that it's a hard 154-pound limit. It could be 148. It could be 150. To my knowledge, it's just a non-title fight. So, and then when I asked Thurman's team, the response I got via text was, "I'm awake and I'm on board," which obviously they meant to say, "I'm aware and I'm on board." But being Keith Thurman, maybe he did wake up at 2:00 in the afternoon and say, "I'm awake." But anyway, he's on board with whatever weight this fight takes place at. He wants to fight.
He wants to fight. So what is this say for the WBC?
I have not heard at all from the WBC on this. That was the first thing I asked him. I said, "Look," you guys agreed with the WBA that Thurman was going to go first because he's the mandatory. So if they're now fighting a non-title fight, they got to take action. It's more so than the champions that are holding these belts. It's like guys like Bakram or Tazaliev and all these other mandatories who are just willing to just stand down all this time. They're holding that number one spot, Ransom. So like no one else is getting the opportunity. That's like the frustrating part for me. It's like they don't even have a pathway to fight for the title because the guys at number one are just kind of sitting on that ranking. So
I mean, they got a pathway, fight each other. You remember when everybody was telling 168 stop waiting on Canelo and fight each other?
No, I get that.
The same should apply for welterweight. I mean, Virgil's fighting the top contender, so he's making himself a path.
Virgil's fighting right. So even though we don't think whatever we think of secondary titles, they're fighting for that. So if Thurman is fighting Spence, then what are you fighting for at that point? Thurman is the number one contender in the WBC.
Yeah, I'm saying, but these guys got to make their own path. You can't sit around and wait on nobody to give you shit because ain't nobody gonna give you nothing.
Right, but what path is there? That's my point. Look. People saying don't wait on.
Number one contenders can fight each other, just like they were saying with Canelo. They was telling people stop waiting on Canelo, stop waiting on Spence, and fight each other.
Thurman's the number one contender, though. So what are you fighting for at that point?
I mean, not Thurman, but I'm talking about the other guy that you named.
But that's my point. Boots is a mandatory now, and he doesn't have a pathway to Spence. Thurman's a mandatory. His pathway to Spence is fighting for a non-title. Stanionis has been waiting for his shot. He's not getting his shot.
Yeah, well, he's getting a shot at Virgil, which is a fight that should he win, then people want to see him fight for a title.
Right, but then it's a question.
You can't be fighting people knockovers that we don't know and then think somebody's just gonna give you a title shot, especially if you're fighting on undercards.
No, I agree.
I mean, but this is what I'm saying. This is how boxing has always worked and will always work.
Right. I agree. I just feel like we're not getting the reward anymore. I have been saying I think Spence is on borrowed time at welterweight. So this could very well be like when he fights Thurman, if he feels good, maybe there's no motivation for him to return. But
no sympathy for me for guys just sitting around. They for guys that ain't making their own way, like a Fulton, like a Virgil, like a Stanionis, like a what's my man name? Lee Wood. You know, guys is actually with some motivation, with some get up and go about themselves. There's too many guys just sitting around. Well, I'm the number one. I should get a fight. No, nobody's gonna give you shit in this sport. Nobody is gonna relinquish power. You have to take it.
Yeah.
And guys just sitting around doing shit. So I don't feel sorry for them.
No, I agree with that 100%. And like I said, guys like Spence, Canelo, whoever, they have the right to fight whoever they want. But even like a 154, like there's no pathway to get to number one at with the IBF because Bakram has been there since 2019. So guys can't even fight an eliminator in that route. Like even if they want to fight the best.
Okay, but it's not about. I'm saying if he fought Tony Harrison, I bet you people start and he beat him. People say, okay, well let's see Bakram. My point is, this dude ain't even fighting on TV. Nobody knows who he is, but they expect just to waltz into it. You're not going to waltz into a title shot in boxing. It does not work that way. It didn't work that way for De La Hoya, Floyd, Tyson, Lewis. That's why Bo dropped the belt, if you remember at that time. Nobody's going to give you anything. So this idea, this isn't a sport or a team sport where we have rankings that go up. Of course they had rankings, but the rankings are always going to go towards money. And once these guys realize you have to put yourself in a position to be worth it, then these guys can make a shot. But
if you can't compete, Lefty, how can you do that? If you can't compete to be the number one guy because he's taking fucking standard step aside money, how can you do that? What do you like? You want these guys to jump through hoops for shit that's supposed to be regular and supposed to happen.
What you mean? They've always jumped through hoops. Floyd jumped through hoops.
That's not right, though.
All right,
it's not. That don't make
Tyson jumped through hoops.
Hold on.
De La Hoya jump. It's not right, but what it is. You can sit around all day whining about it ain't fair, but life ain't fair.
All right, I'm gonna rewind this a little.
All day and whine about life ain't fair. This ain't right. That ain't gonna change shit. You have to change it.
I'm gonna rewind this a little bit. Let's take a 154 because we all agree Charlo is, as for any champion, Charlo can fight whoever the hell he wants. My problem is a guy like Bakram is milking his number one lead. He's sitting on a number one ranking, so anyone below him cannot even get to number one because this guy is sitting there for 3 years and content to just take steps. He's the guy I want to get the fuck out the way. Either take your title shot or get out of the way. That's my problem. And now Thurman is going to be in the same position where he can go fight Spence. Now nobody else below him has a shot at, moving up to WBC rankings. Because now even if Thurman loses, he's still the number one contender with the WBC.
That's what I was saying.
What's the motivation for these guys to fight each other if they don't have a pathway to even get to a contender spot?
That's what I was saying, Jake.
Never mind a title shot.
The same motivation it was for Maidana to fight Broner.
Broner was the champ. Broner had a belt.
Broner until Maidana took the shot and fought him. Meanwhile, Khan wouldn't fight Broner, and he never got to fight. You have to put yourself in position with fights. You can't sit around and wait on nobody. This is not even just in boxing. This is in life. You cannot sit around and wait on nobody to do shit for you. You have to put yourself in certain positions to get certain shots. That's what I hate about this with this ranking shit and this boxing shit was everybody just think they're just gonna waltz into a title shot. It's not gonna happen.
So we need to just get rid of the rankings then.
No, I didn't get rid of the rankings.
That is what you're saying.
The rankings bring order to the sport, supposedly. But the rankings also, let me finish. The rankings also are in favor of the big money earners.
What Jake is telling you is that these guys are holding number one positions, so no matter who the other guys fight, you won't get the position.
Y'all don't even care about these other guys. Who the fuck is they gonna fight? Who do you want to see these guys fight for a title? I mean, these guys sit around fight nobody. They gonna get the titles and fight nobody.
Copy.
I mean, are you really that hyped to see Bakram versus fucking?
Well, then let Bakram move, Lefty, and let somebody else that want to fight the champion get in that number one position. Is what we're saying.
No, that's not how it works.
What the fuck? How is it supposed to work?
Has Canelo? What was the only mandatory Canelo has fought the last 5 years or so? It's been the dude that he fought in Miami. What's his name?
So if I can't get the number one position to challenge for a title,
I'm telling you that the rankings do not actually matter.
So let's get rid of
title shot. It's what you do that matters to get you that title shot. That dude he fought in Miami was like one of the first mandatories he's fought in a long time. But he's had other fights with guys that put themselves in position to get the fight.
His next fight.
Anyway, let's continue on with the show.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want to count Caleb Plant, which for some reason WO made that a mandatory, which is weird. But anyway, let's move on with the show. But I get so motherfucking tired of seeing motherfuckers sitting around whining and crying and ain't doing shit, but waiting on life to hand them something. Anyway, what do we have next?
We got tonight's show, pair of heavyweight fights on ESPN. If anyone's excited about that.
Oh yeah, Stephen Shaw,
yep.
Nick Jagba.
Yeah, Rich. Actually, all three. I like those two fights, and even the ESPN Plus headliner between Blue Nose Lopez and Abraham Nova. So to me, those are three fights. Like no matter if you believe there's a perceived favorite, the underdog has a legit shot at winning. So these are fights we should be watching.
What about
Tank, they're
Johnny
replaying
Rice
the Tank pay-per-view from his fight with Hector Garcia. They're replaying that on Showtime tonight. If anyone missed it last week. Although, I mean, the way it's been trending, it seemed like a lot of people watched it, whether illegally or otherwise.
Just that fight or the full card?
To my knowledge, it's just that fight. I don't know if they're going to add Boots' fight. But
you sure you don't know if you had a Boots card?
I'm not sure. Yeah. To my knowledge, it's just Tank.
Okay. What about my man Rashidi Ellis? Is he going through with that rematch?
If he's in a position to, I mean, that's going to be up to the. I don't even know if it's going to be up to the IBF. So, but we'll see. I don't even know what to make of that fight. I don't know if it's just inactivity or if this is just, if he's just an 8-round fighter, just wasn't ready for a 12-round fight. I really don't know what to make of last week. It's like, Boo Boo kind of was who he was. I'm hearing he's injured now, so he might be out for a minute. This was a great opportunity for Boots to really show why he's, the best welterweight contender in the world. And, he won. I even said, people say he was exposed and this and that. I don't believe that. I still think he's one of the biggest threats in the division, but he just fought, he went in saying that he never even heard of the guy. And he kind of fought that way. He fought like he had no clue, who he was. And, he thought he was going to hurt him and just, the guy would fold. But, he clearly wasn't prepared for what, Chikadze, moving for 12 rounds. So that was, him not cutting off the ring was a big disappointment. And, just kind of settling for the win. But it's just,
even though the level of the competition he was facing is, wasn't the top level.
Right.
Still fighting on the undercard in front of a sold-out crowd on pay-per-view set him up to put up a spectacular performance.
Right.
When people would say, okay, I want to see him fight Spence or Crawford.
Right.
But instead it did the opposite, which leads to my point about the rankings versus the fights.
Yeah, I get that.
Now everybody's expectations for the fight has gone down. They're not even talking about him fighting Spence or Boots no more because of performance.
Mm-hmm.
But the rankings will tell you he's ready for him. But the performance in the ring doesn't say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I said that going in. It's like, I know, like, it kind of, well, I'm not going to keep banging Stephen Espinoza, but, just saying that, he took this fight because he's trying to force a fight with Spence was foolish because nobody believed that we were ever going to see that fight. So him getting this interim title only sets him up to eventually get that belt once Spence gives it up and does what he does. Moves up to 154, decides he just doesn't want to fight Boots or whatever. Like, all he's going to get is an upgraded title. That's it, because he was already the mandatory to begin with.
Him fighting Villa that'd be a good fight.
Him fighting, yeah, I agree. And maybe that's even a better style, matchup for him where he looks more spectacular.
Yeah, that's a better style matchup.
Yep.
Villa still has a puncher's chance, and we've seen him beat another guy that was thought highly of.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't ranked above him,
right? His
performance in the ring showed he was a better fighter, and
exactly. Yeah, he's earned the opportunity. So
your performance
I'd rather see
not
that
your
than,
rankings.
Yeah, I'd rather see that than him fight Rashidi Ellis. Next. Like, I'm not. That's why I always say, like, I don't think there was a rematch clause in place. But I'm against them in general. Just like, if you have the fight, take advantage of the opportunity. Rashidi Ellis had a golden opportunity. Quite frankly, he blew it last week. Even if you thought he won, he couldn't have ended that fight any more disastrous, other than just getting knocked out.
That's true. Jake, yesterday. You was covering the fight. What fight were you covering yesterday?
Oh, Kim Clavel and Jessica Neri Plata. It was a unification bout at 108.
Where Matt at? Is Matt in here? Because he had something to say to you about you calling that fight of the year.
Hey, if you want to be gender specific, it's in the conversation for women's fight of the year. The year is 14 days old. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So is that, and maybe Rashidi Ellis and Roman Villa. That's
What you hearing about Rayo versus De Los Santos?
You said Rayo versus De Los Santos?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the fight I heard. They already.
Pitbull versus
I've heard Pitbull versus De Los Santos. I have not heard Rayo.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I meant.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say they already fought in that.
Rayo versus Colbert.
I've heard that. I don't know how serious it is. I've not been able to confirm Rayo and Colbert.
Mike Sayo versus Figueroa.
That I've heard. Yeah, that. PBC is supposed to be announcing. I know they were hoping to announce some fights this week. I don't know. I feel like every week we keep saying next week. So there's just a bunch of fights that are in queue. So, any
rematch for reschedule for Zoo Charlo?
No. Charlo is out. To my knowledge, if Zoo gets the right opponent, the WBO will approve him to fight for an interim title. That's if Zoo is serious about getting back in the ring. He said he didn't want to wait. So if he gets the right opponent, he can fight for the WBO interim title, and then Charlo, I think, will have 180 days from there to fight him.
Okay. How long do they really expect Charlo to be out?
I thought it was only 2 months. So, but again, if Zoo doesn't want to wait, then that would push a Charlo Zoo fight back. So, but at the same time, if Zoo's going to fight and Charlo's ready to return, that shouldn't hold up Charlo in the meantime. So he should be able to go fight whoever he wants.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. What else news did we have this week?
It just seemed like a lot of rumors.
You have any Tank pay-per-view numbers?
No, I don't. All I know is, they destroyed
Ray, get up here and tell us the numbers for Tank pay-per-view.
Again, I've never gotten big on pay because no matter who claims they have a source on pay-per-view numbers, it's never exact. All I can say with Tank is, I think it was the Sports Business Journal. They already reported that the gate did over 5 million, which is by far the biggest gate that they've ever done at Capital One Arena. And 7 days later, the fight is still trending. So that tells you all you need to know about Tank being a star.
Okay. We got Ray back. Welcome back, Ray.
Yep.
How was that week off?
Oh man, nothing but bologna sandwiches.
You got some Tank pay-per-view numbers for us?
Oh yeah. It's between like 450K and 500K, man. I got from 2 sources.
Are you gonna have to fire this source too?
Shit, if you keep bullshit, you know how I do.
All right. We're gonna open up for the questions. Who got a question?
All right.
Go ahead, Lewis.
Thanks, Lefty. Thanks, Jake, for having me on. I've got a couple heavyweight questions. I was wondering, we've been hearing a lot of rumours about Joshua's next opponent, heard Jermaine Franklin recently, heard Dempsey McKean before that. I'm personally hoping for more of an Otto Wallin or Hrgovic. Who do you think at the moment is the front runner for that April the 1st day?
Usually when promoters clam up, that tells me their guy has a good shot at it. Dempsey McKean's been doing a lot of talking. I'm pretty sure he's not getting the fight, but there's no harm in putting his name out there and reminding people that he should be in the hunt. I do believe Jermaine Franklin has a good shot at getting it.
Nice, thanks, Jake. And also, I heard on the grapevine recently that Joe Joyce and Zhilei Zhang are in negotiations. Is there any fruit to that?
I know Joyce wants to fight. I know they're trying to. I thought Zhang would possibly be in the hunt for Joshua, but I have not. I'd be lying if I said I heard that rumor. But I'm all for that fight if it is in the talks. But no Joyce, worries. I know he's not going to wait around. Obviously, it does look like we're going to get Fury and Usyk, and with the IBF's announcement, maybe if they do fight, it will be for all the belts unless Usyk decides to dump the IBF belt anyway. But with Joyce. Yeah, actually, I'm looking at the rankings. So, yeah, Zhilei Zhang would be an option. He would have to fight someone in the top 15, and that would definitely fit the bill. Hrgovic is also looking to fight, too. I just don't know how he's going to fit in this mix. And the risk is that he could lose.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Jake.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, go ahead, Four Corners.
Good morning. Thanks.
Good morning.
I was going to ask about the Joshua thing. The other thing I was going to ask was around Tank and Ryan. Do you think April is the date? And you think it's going to land in Vegas? Then my other question was, I forget right now. I'll just start with that one.
I will say Vegas would seem like the most likely location. I just don't know about April. And again, not to, keep banging on it, but I just don't know if they can confirm that fight going in. He has a court date in February. So you hope, look, I don't know what happened there. I'm not going to say I hope he avoids jail time, because if he did what he did, then he deserves whatever punishment comes with it. But as it relates to this fight, you don't want to see anything hold it up. If you announce it in January, then February, you kind of got to backtrack. I don't know. I mean, if Errol, like I said, Lefty even said it, a couple of weeks ago and last week, when Errol Spence goes public with information about when he's fighting, that means he knows who and when he's fighting. So, and we know he's fighting Keith Thurman. So he said he's fighting in April. I just can't see PBC stacking that many pay-per-views together. So if the Plant Benavidez rumors are right, that's going to be, I think, March 25th. So again, got a very crowded schedule.
Is Fox in the game for PBC this year, or is it Showtime?
I'm almost positive Fox is in the hunt for at least one of these pay-per-views.
Okay. And then anything on Wilder recent? Then I just wanted to ask you about the DAZN report that came out this week.
I've been saying, look, if Deontay is going to honor the WBC announcement, then there's no other fight than the Ruiz. But I've also said with his comeback, it's more just, with his mentality, his head is where he wants it to be, and he's back for that reason. So I don't think he's going to care about, maintaining number one position, to fight for the WBC belt. He's going to fight whoever he wants. Tay's dropped some nuggets about, who he could possibly fight, but all I can say is who knows at this point with him. I don't think whatever fight he takes, it's not going to be because, he's going to want to be an eliminator. It's just going to be because that's who he wants to fight.
Okay. Hey, instead of DAZN, my last question is about Golden Boy. So with Robert Diaz leaving, is there like a lot of it seems like he was like a core part of the team for a long time. So what's going on with Golden Boy? Do you see like a shift into something different they're trying to do, or is it just Oscar's just trying to revamp the company, and it just seemed weird that he would leave?
When I asked about it, and it's weird, like when people get let go, I'm very funny. I mean, like I just recently heard that, a couple other people were part of, that whole deal, like that Robert Diaz wasn't the only one that was let go. Like a good friend of mine was let go from the company too. So I need to reach out to him. Golden Boy, Oscar just makes some strange decisions. The best, reason I was given, they just said Oscar made a business decision on the move. I don't know, man, that's a big loss. So there could have been some issues that, just weren't made, available to the public up until, news came out that he was let go. But I happen to think it's more than just, letting his contract run out. That's a massive loss. So you can't, to want to save money on that front, like, I don't know, man, you can't put a price on a good matchmaker.
I mean,
all right, thanks, guys.
When their budget has been cut 2 straight years in a row, I mean, I don't think they could really carry even though he's an integral part, that should tell you really that they're probably hemorrhaging money over there.
Yeah, there's other redundancies you can resolve, but a spot like that should be like the last spot where
that's what I'm saying. If they're cutting him, then there's something going on
that's where you kind of admit
what we realize on the outside looking in.
Yeah, that's when you put a for sale sign out on the front yard.
Yeah. Have you heard the Ring magazine is for sale?
It's been for sale. So I thought I mentioned this on a space. So once upon a time, I was actually in the hunt to land a job at Sporting News. And a big part of it was I'm probably giving away too much, but they were looking to buy the Ring. Once I heard like that was part of the equation, I was like, there's no way I'm getting this job.
Okay.
Needless to say, I'm not working for the Sporting News.
All right, go ahead, Kind of Blue.
Benavidez and Caleb Plant fight as far as a date and location.
Keith Idek is on that story, so he'd be pretty pissed if I burned them. It's going to be revealed within the next 2 or 3 days. It's very much in the range that we've speculated, is the best I can say.
All right, go ahead, Vivi.
So Thursday marked the 1-month anniversary of the unsuspension of the monster Edgar Berlanga. When can we expect a fight date and a fight opponent?
I have no clue on opposition. I've been trying to get that out of Top Rank and out of Keith Connolly almost every single day. All I can say is like the conversations have been more pleasant than they have been in the past. But beyond that, I'm not getting any clear direction on that. So I wish I had a better answer. Sorry.
Thank you.
I might be among the few, maybe you and me both. I personally like Berlanga. I don't know if we've already seen his ceiling. I do like him though, so I enjoy when he's in the ring.
Okay. All right, go ahead, Lex.
Jake, what's good, man? Yo, going back to that Roberto Diaz situation,
Yes.
Like what would be a move that makes sense for him next? Because I feel like he's pretty well respected in the industry, and you don't hear of matchmakers getting let go too often. So like what? I'm just curious from your perspective, and it doesn't have to be specific, but like what would make sense for him next?
I will
guess.
be specific. I don't know if PBC necessarily needs a matchmaker or another matchmaker. I think he'd be a perfect fit over there. Like any guy that can, is in the position he's bilingual. I know they got Librado Andrade that deals a lot with, the Latino fighters over there, but he'd be another great liaison, over there. I think that would be a perfect fit for him personally.
I see Ron down there, PBC matchmaker. He could take Ron's position. We don't care.
I mean, they got a massive amount of fight. It's not like, one guy can match all those guys. So, you kind of need a stable. So, and Robert serves other purposes other than just putting fights together too. So, most good matchmakers, usually go way beyond that role. So,
hopefully he can get somebody to pick him up.
Yeah,
but I don't know. He a tough matchmaker. Some people don't like the way he matched because if the talent's there, he throw him in rough.
Yeah,
because you remember those early Golden Boy cards, they used to put on some bangers on the undercard.
Yeah, Eric Gomez was a big part of that too. So yeah, they were not scared to get their guys beat. So
hell no.
Yeah,
we got Rocha versus Rashidi years ago.
Right. Yeah. PBC matches their prospects left. I match room to a degree as well. So
yeah. I mean, it's good. You don't want to ruin a guy, but it's good to throw him in there with a little test early.
Yeah.
To see what you got, instead of just years later getting beat and you're like, he was exposed. Go ahead, Vivi.
Is there any information on Oscar Valdez's injury and or a window for return?
So I think when he was supposed to fight in November, supposedly it was like a back, something with like his lower back, and I'm not sure if it just hasn't gone away to the point where he still can't fight in February. But to my knowledge, if this holds true and he doesn't take a tune-up, he is supposed to get the winner of Navarrete and Liam Wilson. Assuming that Navarrete wins and he keeps the belt at 130 and, gives up the belt at 126, I'm almost positive the next fight would be Navarrete and Oscar Valdez. If he just completely does not want the fight, then that's going to raise speculation as to how hurt he is. But to my knowledge, it's a lingering back injury that just hasn't resolved in time.
Hey, YSM, if you want to come up here and shed some more light on that Stephen Fulton situation, I invited you to speak. Go ahead, Asai.
Hey, what's going on, Jake?
What's up, Asai?
Hey, man, you got any information on Joshua Buatsi next fight? I've been hearing about him and Callum Smith or him and Bivol. You got anything on that?
So Bivol needs an opponent. I keep hearing his name attached to that. I know there's always been talk about him and Callum Smith, but it always seems to stop dead short at no belt being at stake means the fight's just not going to happen. That both of those guys are going to get a title shot. Callum Smith is number one with the WBC. So he's going to wait out. Not wait out. He wants to fight in March and then go to, after that, fight the winner of Beterbiev and Yard. So I'd love to see them fight, but one of them should be fighting Bivol. If Callum Smith is going to stay on that March 11th date, then that kind of tells me that we'll see Bivol and Buatsi next. And they could probably sell that as a WBA mandatory because after Zulo lost, Buatsi is next highest ranked. So.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about Leewood and Laura?
Laura, what about it?
Big fight coming up.
Yeah, no, it's a great fight, man. I love it. And it's not even a mandatory fight. That's it's just a fight that was scheduled. Leewood probably could have got away with, not revisiting it, but I give him credit for taking it. Laura going right back to the UK. He had his he had a fight at home, and now he's back on the road. And if he wins, he could be fighting Josh Warrington a third time if Josh Warrington wants it.
I think Leewood's gonna win. I'll be rooting for Leewood.
Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a banger.
Yeah, and you see Gary Russell Jr. has moved up from featherweight?
Yes, to 130. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he gets Hector Garcia.
That's what I said. I mentioned that on Broadway show a couple weeks ago, last week. That maybe Hector Garcia versus Gary Russell Jr. That'd be a good fight.
Yeah, I don't know if weight is necessarily an issue for Gary Russell, but I just I don't know. 130, I guess technically is kind of wide open, especially with Shakur gone. But
well, all right, go.
Yeah,
go ahead, Isai.
Hey, that's kind of what I wanted to lead into, Jake. So, when I was at the fight, when I was at the Tank fight last week, I did see Lamont Roach Jr. and I kind of was talking to him a little bit. But with him being the number one guy in the WBA, obviously Hector just lost. What do you expect? Have you heard anything about a possible fight for him, or what's going on with that belt?
That would be up to the WBA to actually enforce that mandatory. So I don't. I know they gave him he had permission to go fight Tank to move up. Usually that comes with your next fight has to be a mandatory. So I don't know if there's a window where he can revisit, where he can explore an optional defense. But that would be where someone like Gary Russell would slip in. But I mean, I guess Gary's grown used to fighting off of lengthy layoffs. But that could be a risk coming off more than a year and an injury. So
Thanks, Jake.
He fought last week.
Who fought last week?
No, I'm talking about Gary
Jr.
Russell. I'm talking about Gary Russell. Oh, right. I got you. Yeah, he got a sparring session with Meek Mill. I get you.
Well, we can't see Gary to next year in the ring. What about this? Another fight that I heard of is what's my man name at 140? Comey and Ramirez.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
that official?
That's set for March 25th at Save Mart Arena in Fresno. Yep. Sinisa Estrada and Tina Ruprecht will be fighting in a unification bout as the co-feature. I mentioned that because to me, that's the attraction of the card. I don't mind Ramirez Comey as a stay busy fight if neither guy had any other option. Jose Ramirez clearly had other options, specifically fighting Regis Prograis, and he is not fighting him. So
I saw Regis Prograis saying that going down the list saying that what's his name? Tio is next, but does Regis know that he was given a
voluntary?
Voluntary?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's like kind of a big deal.
Yeah, we're in a very weird time where we just saw Devin's tweet, the belts matter until you don't have a belt. But it's weird. He has a belt, but his promoter doesn't have a platform. So he has to go fishing for the right opponent and then land on that opponent's, platform. So that puts guys like Ramirez and Teofimo Lopez in a position to freeze them out.
Yeah. So why is the WBC giving him a voluntary instead of going down the list?
So you look at everything it went through. Shakur is now going on 2 months waiting on, it does look like he's going to fight Yoshino, as we've been saying on the show, but this has been a 2-month process. So literally the convention was 2 months ago. So, and that fight still isn't finalized yet. Hopefully it will get, finalized and signed, but you can't keep doing this in every single division where you just keep going down the list. If guys just, and again, it goes back to, you don't want to fight, you get out the way. Ramirez is now number 6 in the WBC rankings.
You go down the list, you say, they go down the list, say, do you want to fight? No. Okay. Well, they ain't got to wait 30 days. Just hit the list. If they say no, thank you, then give them a week, then move on.
I was going to even say a hard 5-day deadline. But.
Yeah. So what's possible for Regis? Like you said, his promoter doesn't have a platform. Now he has a voluntary. So what's possible for him? I
did hear Sergey Lipinets at one point, but again, that puts him back, in PBC. I mean, who's going to pick up that fight unless you sign him to a promotional deal? So, he's going to have to make a devil's deal at some point. Either bring on Top Rank or TGB or someone else as a co-promoter. So, because Schaefer is just not, look, I have a great relationship with Richard Schaefer, but, as long as Pro Bellum does not have a deal in the U.S., he's going to struggle to land the fight that he wants.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Because they didn't even win that purse bid. A small promoter came out of nowhere and won that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, go ahead, Too Slick.
Hey, Jake, how's everything? I was kind of curious if you had any news on two guys, Israel Madrimov and Shojahan Ergashev. I don't know how to say it, but because those two, slowest moving careers I've ever seen. It's kind of incredible.
Yeah. I'm going to go backwards. Ergashev, there was a point where they kept trying to ride out these rumors that Ponce has not gotten a visa. I don't know if that is still true, but they're kind of in a holding pattern where if Ponce can't fight for any reason, they want to fight Matias. They were in that position last year when that rumor was true, and the IBF, all they did was just put the fight back in negotiation and then to a purse bid. So that's where Ergashev is at. I think it's a weird plan because you want to keep the guy busy in the meantime. Madrimov, I literally have not heard any news. I thought I heard something maybe of another fight with Michel Soto. Beyond that, I've not heard anything real.
Well, God willing, that third fight does not happen. I
Yeah,
swear to God, I'm off
yeah.
the hype train.
Jamil, you gonna come up here and tell us about Anui Fulton? Come on, man. You got the inside scoop. You teasing us. All right, go ahead, VV.
Is there any news on Jermall Charlo? Do we even know if he's alive?
He's definitely alive. Once upon a time, I heard a rumor of him possibly fighting Jesse Hart. I don't know if that is still in play.
What, at 168?
At 168, yes.
So 160 is over for him, supposedly.
I won't say it's over, but it's been a very, very long time. And again, if he goes to 160, Adames, to my knowledge, is getting another fight. But, you know, Jamal would still have to fight Adames at some point or give up his belt.
Why don't they just make him champion in recess and let Adames fight?
They should have done that at the WBC convention instead of saying, you know, we're going to look into his situation. That's, you know, don't get me started on all that. But I've been saying on these spaces where, like, with these conventions, the WBC offers pie in the sky, and that stuff never pans out. The WBO may not have the sexiest matchups, but they usually order the ones where they believe has a good chance of happening, at least. So that's, you know, all this, even the WBA, it's like, you know, it's just, you know, managers and promoters begging for fights, you know, they get announced, and then, you know, they just kind of, you know, go stagnant. But, you know, Adames, I agree. Adames should be, you know, allowed to defend the full version of the title at this point. Charlo, you know, can go figure out what he's going to do in 2023.
Especially now, really, that all the smoke is at 168 now for him. You got
Right.
Morrell, Benavidez, Plant, Andrade, all the smoke. Somebody said, did you say Andrade was hurt earlier in the space? I don't know what.
I heard that, yeah, Andrade suffered an injury during his fight and could be out. I'm not sure how concrete that is, though. It could have been just maybe a false alarm that, you know, maybe it felt something, but it's not serious. But
okay. All right. Go ahead, Ari.
Hey, good morning, Jake. Good afternoon. I'm sorry. Is the Ponce Matias that the headliner for the February 25th
to my
fight?
knowledge, it is. Yeah, that there's going to be.
It is okay.
A third fight. I don't know if there's going to be a co-feature added or if Rodriguez and Adorno is the co-feature and the, you know, then an opening fight is added. But yeah, to my knowledge, yeah, that is the headliner for February 25th.
And one more question about the little guys. What's going on with Eric Rosa, the mini Pac-Man, the little guy?
He is fighting March 1st. He's fighting Neon.
March 1st.
March 1st.
Got it.
Yes.
Thank you.
I literally, my man, he goes by Olay on Twitter, but yeah, he's the one that tipped me off on that.
All right. Yeah, the dude that always tagging.
The one that's always tagging you. Yes, correct.
Great fight, by the way. Great fight.
Got to take the good with the bad, and that's good.
All right, J-Ro, go ahead.
Yeah, with Inoue moving up to 122, I think 118 is about to become really fun. What fights do you see happening for those titles?
Oh, at 118?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. The WBC is kind of holding up things, especially with the WBO, because it's a matter of if Donaire can't get to Maloney, and it's because it's Top Rank's fault, then that would remove Maloney from the mix. I'm going to guess that that's the situation, and we're going to see Donaire fight either the Thai guy that Maloney fought. I think Maloney and Gaballo will wind up fighting, whether it's for the WBC or the WBO. The IBF is already set. Astro against Emmanuel Rodriguez. The WBA, Takuma, I'm hearing two different things. I thought he was supposed to fight Melvin Lopez, and Lopez's team, they're the next highest ranked contender, and they absolutely want that fight. I saw a very loose rumor that Inoue was in talks with Liborio Solis. That will not make Melvin Lopez's team very happy. But until Lefty's point, you know, who the hell is Melvin Lopez? You know, why should we care? But, you know, if he's in that position, he should have the right to at least negotiate that fight from a sanctioned body perspective.
I mean, that's a little different, man, because
honestly,
a lot of them guys we don't care about.
Right, and you can't jump. Right, who the hell is Liborio Solis that would jump in the line?
The guys that carry the sport, sport and make the money in order for us to see these. Because I don't know if people understand that boxing is a subsidized sport.
Yep.
You got to have stars. All these other fights y'all like seeing, that's because of the bigger fights, the bigger guys, the Canelos, the Spences, the Tanks. You know what I'm saying? The AJs. That's why you're able to see other fights like like Bam Rodriguez versus who's the dude he fought? The first dude he fought at one.
Carlos
Quadras.
Yeah, Quadras. That's why you're able to see fights like that. It's because of guys like Canelo. Okay? Boxing is subsidized. Your top earners have to put on the big fights in order to subsidize the smaller fights.
Yep.
So with the bigger names, we should be pushing for bigger fights, not just because a guy has a ranking.
Right.
All right, go ahead, Broadway.
Hey, what's going on, Jake?
What's up, bro? A little upset with you, man.
Wow, what's up?
How are you trying to claim Jermaine Ortiz is just Dominican?
Yo, bro, come on, man.
Come on,
man.
Dominican or not at all, man. Dominican or he's from Massachusetts.
He's
one or the other.
And
can't have it both.
Don't worry. He's coming on the show Monday.
I know.
But is there? Listen, I'm starting to get a little nervous, and I ain't bring it up in the previous space we was on. I was waiting to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
They moved Subriel Matias versus Ponce, which was originally supposed to be February 11th.
Right.
Now to the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
I contacted Subriel Matias promoter who won't let me interview him until the fight's official.
Right.
And he told me the fight's not official, so he's not going to allow him for him to interview with me. So
right.
I'm starting to get worried that this fight may not happen. Have you heard anything from your sources that there's a risk of this not happening, or if there's problems with the visa, or somebody's not going to make him wait, or what's going on with this?
I will say this. This is the second time I've heard rumors of Ponce not getting a visa. The first time I was told that, we wound up with the IBF saying, well, we don't care. We're reordering talks. And then it went back to a purse bid, which, PBC wound up with it anyway. I've heard that rumor again. I'm not sure if I believe it. To my knowledge, the only reason it got pushed back 2 weeks was because they were in need of a main event for February 25th. I think the date was supposed to go to Fundora. He's not fighting on that date anymore. So now that fight becomes the main event. To my knowledge, that's the only reason why the fight was pushed back 2 weeks. I know Matias' team is furious. The dude has been training for I know he had his, stay busy fight, but other than that, he's been training 8 months for this title shot. He's been waiting that long for it. So he's just as frustrated as everyone else. Juan Orengo, I know he tends to let loose too much information, especially with the Puerto Rican media. So he could be on a gag order at this point. So maybe that's why he's telling you once Showtime, PBC, they announce this fight, then you can have at it with their fighters.
No, but so there's no risk of this fight not happening.
Not to my knowledge, no. Well, I will say this. To my knowledge, there's no risk of Matias not fighting February 25th.
Okay.
I don't think there's a visa issue with Ponce, but that would be the only reason why it wouldn't happen. But he's fighting for the title one way or another on February 25th. The IBF is not going to hold this up any longer.
All right. Last question. So obviously they fighting for the IBF title. And let's say the fight does happen. Elvis Rodriguez is on the undercard. Mm-hmm. He's fighting Joseph Adorno. I believe Joseph Adorno has an IBF Latino belt. Could you see? Do you think that's maybe they're setting it up for them to fight next? Elvis, let's say he wins, and let's say Subriel wins. Do you think they're setting it up for them to fight next?
If the winner does not have a mandatory, then obviously, yeah, Elvis, in that space, they're both with PBC. You want to set up a Matias Elvis fight, or obviously a Matias Adorno fight, but the winner would have to get ranked. That's the most. I'm assuming that's why this, a fight like this has taken place, but neither one of them are in. They're definitely not in the IBF top 15 at this point.
Yeah. No. All right.
I know that doesn't always matter. I mean, I heard a rumor for who Fundora is supposed to fight, and that guy's not in the top 15 right now, but he very well could be, once the fight is finalized. So
yeah, but the IBF usually, none of them are perfect, but they usually don't be with that mumbo jumbo stuff that
right.
Be going.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, look, Ponce and Matias are 1 and 2 right now, so the winner obviously moves into the championship spot, which frees up at least a number 15 spot for the winner of Rodriguez and Adorno.
All right. Thank you so much, Jake.
Yeah, of course, man. Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Marshy.
How you doing, Jake?
Hey, Marshy.
You're right, yeah. I just wanted to ask: is there a working date or anything for Usyk versus Belly Fury?
Yeah, that's been a strange rivalry. All I've been told is everyone is confident. Not confident. I guess confident's the word, but they're pleased with the progress that has been made, and it does look like we are getting that fight in the spring.
And there was just one more. Is there Anthony Joshua's obviously talking about Franklin? Is that the name? Is that the strongest name that you've been hearing, or?
That is, look, I didn't hear that name until I saw Chris McKenna's report. He's usually on the spot when it comes to stuff like this. I mentioned this earlier. Usually when a fighter's name is mentioned and the promoter is no longer able to get a hold of, that's a good indication that, there's something serious there. So Franklin's name came up. I mentioned this earlier. Dempsey McKean's name came up, but I'm almost positive he's kind of been ruled out at this point. But, he's going around telling people that, he wants to fight. So there's nothing wrong with him advertising that he wants it. But it does seem like Franklin has become the front runner.
So is AJ here in the U.S.? No?
Yeah, he is training in the U.S. The rumor is that he's going to be training with Derek James, but that's not been made official. And I've yet to hear that from Derek James. That is the case.
Boy, AJ going to lose his mind in Dallas, in Texas, period. With them BBWs. Remember he said he like his women BBWs?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And that barbecue down there, man, AJ is going to lose his mind.
Right.
He ain't never going back to the UK. I hope y'all know that.
Yep.
Yeah, you crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Look, training-wise, I do believe that's the best fit for him. But I've always said everything AJ needs to correct is in between his ears. So it's going to be up to him. If he listens to someone like Derek James, and if he's willing to, take his feedback, good or bad, then it's going to be a great fit. But it's going to be 100% up to him.
Location for this supposed April date? So,
to my knowledge, April 1st at the O2.
April 1st at the O2.
Yes.
Okay, so they already got a date location. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got Spence fighting in April. He got to go. So Spence fight April. What date we say? What?
It obviously wouldn't be April 1st. He just said XX.
So would it be April, maybe 8th, or maybe what comes after that? Is that a Saturday?
April 8th, April 15th, April 22nd. Yep.
Probably April 8th or April 15th. So James has to train both of them within let's say 3 week at the most, 1 week at the least.
Correct. Yep.
Interesting. Especially because he has to fly over to the UK for the final week. Because he has to fly over there for the final week because they have to do the press.
Yeah, exactly. And then maybe longer if AJ wants to get there 2 weeks in advance.
Yeah, and they have to do the press. Okay. Yeah. All right, go ahead, Broadway.
Oh, so Mini Pac-Man fighting March 1st?
Yes, March 1st. Yeah. Hold on. I'm going to pull it up right now. Not that we're going, but not March 1st, and I'm probably fucking this up, but Nakhon Sawan, Thailand.
Okay. And I have no idea if you'll know this, but could you find me a link, bro? I want.
Yeah, no, I definitely will. Yeah, there's a steady stream. The same. It's Channel 7 in Thailand, but the same. I think it's Channel 7, but I do have I have it bookmarked for whenever that guy fights.
Yeah, please send me that. I definitely want to watch it.
Yeah, you'll be getting up at 3 a.m. or not going to bed at 3 a.m. I guess. Right now.
But it's fine.
Yeah, all their fights are on weekday afternoons for some reason.
That's fine with me.
Yep.
You'll be introduced to all the Fortnite touchdown CP fresh marks.
March 1st, that's a Wednesday.
Yeah. There's some strange advertising on that stuff too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So for y'all that wasn't here earlier, to recap it, Haney versus Loma. Madison Square Garden is the front runner, but Jake said he did also hear Vegas and was it Saudi Arabia or just Middle
Saudi Arabia? Correct. Saudi Arabia. Yep.
Okay. And according to Devin, it is a pay-per-view. Also, what are we talking about? Fulton versus Inoue. Jake couldn't comment specifically on it, but he said that we'll be happy with both their next fights.
Correct.
And what else we do? Spence versus Keith Thurman, above 147, but not sure it's at the full 154 limit.
Right. Just heavy enough for the belts not be at stake.
All right. We about to wrap it up.
I'll make it quick. Hey, Jake, when Tank was here on Chicken Talk, he told us that, part of the negotiation with Ryan was that the zones agreeing to the fight was that his fight couldn't take place, obviously, May 5th or whatever, that Cinco de Mayo weekend because of the whole Canelo, whatever. But could we see that fight being moved to Cinco de Mayo weekend?
I honestly hope so. I don't know if Canelo was necessarily fighting that weekend, especially if I'm almost positive he's not fighting in the U.S. It sounds like it's either going to be the U.K. or, wherever Eddie stayed, Saudi or Dubai. But, if he's not fighting in the U.S., I don't see why that date couldn't be made available. So,
I agree.
Yeah, that's, again, it's a blockbuster fight any day that takes place. But, for that to, be on Cinco de Mayo, that's.
All right. You got anything else to leave us with?
No, that's about it. Damn, I don't even know if there's anything to look forward to next week. If the rumors hold true, we should be, fingers crossed, looking forward to some good fights announced within the next week. Some that'll make us happy, some that'll be like, why'd we wait for this? But we should be getting some news. We desperately need some news. So DAZN owes us news, Showtime owes us news. Announcements should be forthcoming very soon.
Oh yeah. You did say like 2 weeks ago we're supposed to be getting some more announcements from.
Yeah, I know with DAZN, like I said, because they're a global entity, they want to do this big global reveal. So, and there's a few dates that are holding it up. I'm supposed to be interviewing Amanda Serrano in about 2 minutes. I don't know if I can squeeze the Katie Taylor date out of her, but that does seem like it's very likely for May, so that could be a part of it. And obviously locking in, Canelo, the date and location for his fight, presumably against John Ryder. Which would, going back to the mandatory stuff, he's finally going to make one, just not the one we wanted to make.
Who?
Canelo.
What you talking about? Benavidez?
No, that he's supposedly fighting John Ryder.
I mean, you said not the one we want him to make. Which one we want him to make?
Well, we want him to fight Benavidez. We want him to fight David Morrell.
I think ain't nobody talking for no David Morrell fight. Except for Sampson. Nobody even know who David Morrell is.
Well, I like Sampson enough to where I want to please him. So, but obviously Canelo Benavidez is the fight that I would have to imagine most of us want.
And then after Benavidez beats Caleb Plant in a more impressive, or just as an impressive fashion as Canelo, then the public will call for the fight, and
Correct.
It'll be so big that they can't, that the public won't be denied this fight. Do you think Canelo is fighting? What's my man's name? Bivol in the fall.
The only person we're really hearing from at this point is Eddie. I know Canelo said he was going to invoke, to activate the rematch clause, but it hasn't happened yet. So he's already fought Triple G a third time. He was kind of locked into that. He's fighting someone else. So I don't know if he's going to just want. He's obviously going to have his say, but maybe I don't know if he's going to go back to 175 to fight him. So, and a part of me just feels like we won't see it, and quite frankly, I don't need to see it.
All right. Thank you.
Hold on, I got some promo, if you don't mind me, Lefty.
Go ahead.
So on Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, I will be interviewing Jermaine Ortiz. On Wednesday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, I will be interviewing Hector Luis Garcia. And on Saturday, I will be. I'll have a Spanish interview. So for my Spanish-speaking people, I will be interviewing prospect Rohan Polanco. He was a Dominican Olympian in this past Olympics. So busy week for me. So anybody who wants to go check that out, definitely go to my channel, hit that subscribe button, and hit me up.
What's your channel? Oh, this part gonna be cut out the YouTube portion, so don't
Broadway Joel, man. Just type that in. I'm the voice of Dominican boxing, and for sure, man, tap in with me.
Go ahead, Asa.
Hey, I was gonna do the same thing, plug myself as well. Hey, I had some good interviews this week. I had Gary Antoine Monday, Erickson Lubin. I had him last night on my show, and then we had in the middle of that, we had Charles Conwell. This Monday, I know it's going to be playoff time, but Monday at 9:00 p.m., I have David Benavidez on my channel. So if y'all in between the playoffs watching, man, check me out, man. Like, comment, subscribe. You know what I mean?
What's your YouTube name?
ASAP Boxing Talk.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I got it. All right. Thank y'all for listening in, and we see y'all next week.
All right, good. I don't have any appointments scheduled next week, so we will make it 11 a.m.
Appreciate that.
I promise.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah.